Good morning, YouTube. The Ghost of D's Nuts says, "Hey, Randy, I'm not going to be able to make it to today's stream, but I'll catch you when I wake up. Sorry, I had to leave the other stream earlier. This was one of them. All right. Yeah. Yep. Definitely. So, hey, everybody. I am doing a stream. I do not know how this stream thing works, but here are the stream topics. Number one, do I feel old? Two, upcoming books. I want to get 3 done this year. And the third is a novel sequel sneak peek. And I'm going to be telling you about my new novel. I am 3 chapters in right now. It uses a few characters from Everyday is Magic. But before we get to that, let's go to the first topic. Do I feel old? And the answer is no, I do not. But I will tell you something that concerns me. You know, a lot of my favorite celebrities, they're getting old, you know? Like one of my big idols was Tom Green. Like I love the Tom Green show, love the pranks he did, love all the stuff he did. And then I watch Tom Green now, and oh my god, Tom Green looks like an old homeless person. Like and I look at Tom Green, I'm like, he's out in the middle of the desert with his dog, playing fetch with his dog, and I'm like, he looks like a homeless person. And when I think about that inside my mind, I'm like, this is the guy who was married to like Drew Barrymore for like 3 years. I'm like, this is the dude that was given the high hard one to Drew Barrymore, and Drew Barrymore is doing awesome right now. Fierce Vlog says, sneaking in a stream behind my back. LOL, kidding. Dank Meme Time Machine says, hey, Randy, I'm younger than you, and I feel ancient. Yeah, and my friend Ryan, like, he's the same age I am, and like about like 5 or 6 years back, he was like, oh, Randy, man, I just woke up one day and I just felt old as hell. Has that happened to you yet? And I'm like, no, I thank God that hasn't happened to me yet. It was like, yeah, I just woke up and I felt incredibly old, and like I was all old and wrinkly. And I was like, well, that's you, man. That's not me. Because honestly, emotionally, I feel the best I've ever thought in, well, I like to give him the benefit of the doubt. Fears, Ryan has been my friend since 1999. And, like, even though he betrayed me and he did some really messed up stuff, like, in my heart, he's still kind of in there. I know he did some really messed up stuff. He talked some crap about my mother. Well, his wife did. But, in my heart, I just can't, I really think it's a shame that he did what he did. And I really, I can't say that I hate him after we've known each other for, I've known Ryan like 10 years longer than I've known you, so, and, it was only like really last year that things went bad, but I don't know. I don't hate him. He's okay in my book. But yeah, I don't feel old, but like I look at Jim Carrey, and like Jim Carrey looks freaking old as hell. He's got like he's got like a rabbi beard. He's got like this big, huge, bushy beard, and it's got gray hair in it. Yeah. It was a long time, Fears. I mean, about 20 years. So, I mean, if Ryan was listening, I would say, like, Ryan, I forgive you. I wish we could put all that stuff behind us. I'm still a big fan of everything you do. I watch your YouTube channel all the time, and I just don't want us to fight. So yeah, dank meme. I think Jim Carrey looks fantastic for his age. He's got that big bushy beard, and it's got like gray chunks. And I am both, Randall. Sometimes I feel old, and sometimes I feel youthful. Well, Fears, by the time you get 40, 40 is going to be the new 30. You know, uh, you know, technological advancements are whizzing on by, and technology is growing at an exponential rate, which means it's growing in an upward curve. Like, like it's doubling every time. And soon technology is going to be going in a straight line. And then, like, one day we're going to have flying cars. The next day we're going to have light speed travel. The next day after that, we're going to have teleportation. So, it, there's a lot of technological achievements are going to start being happening very quickly and very soon. We got some Russian people. So for the Russians, I will say "Я немного говорю по-русски, вы понимаете по-английски, да, нет, хорошо." So yeah, and I do the Russian accent. Yes, very nice, хорошо. So I don't know who this is. They're just, if they were going to leave actual comments, I would leave it on there. But since they are not an actual person and they are leaving like links to whatever, I am going to delete those messages. I want, I don't care if you're a troll, but leave an actual message. Don't leave a link to some dumb website. I swear the beard is just a mind trick to age him up. When he shaves it, he looks really good. Can we get to the things to make food in Star Trek? Yeah, I think we can. I definitely think we can. But Fears, I don't know if that stuff is going to be healthy or safe to eat. Because basically everything is made up of protons and electrons and atoms, and a replicator is just making air atoms into different, reorganizing the structure. And I think it is possible to actually have food like that. But here's the thing, here's the problem with that technology, Fears. Like, if I had access to any food I wanted for free, I would look like two sumo wrestlers. Like, part of me thinks it's actually a good thing that I don't have that, because I would be a blimp even more than I am now. Like, I am fat, but like, if I had access to a replicator, I would no doubt be morbidly obese because I eat my feelings. So I would definitely be living large if there were replicators. Replicator would never exist on our world. It would be shut down by so many people. And that's one of the things is, like, I have no doubt. I've seen documentaries where people have invented steam cars that run entirely on water, but guess what? The big motor companies, they're not going to let that happen because, water's free. You can get water out of the sky. All right. The big motor companies would lose so much money if people didn't have to pay for gas. It's like, razor blades too. Razor blades are meant to oxidize. That means they're meant to rust quicker. So you have to throw those razor blades away and buy new razor blades. That's not cool. Like, we have the technology to make a razor blade that lasts 10 years. I know, because we have metal that lasts 10 years. All right. But like, shaving companies aren't going to make money if you buy one razor blade in 10 years, So that's a little thing called planned obsolescence. They make shit purposely faulty so that you'll throw it away and buy more stuff. Uh, Also, IIRC, the replicator made only things that look like really nice meals, but in reality, it's that nutrition value is just bland and healthy. These are true statements, but I was just saying would help me with my cooking problems. Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of good stuff that you can microwave though. Actually, no. Now that it's taste and nutritional value. Yeah, yeah. So that was my first topic. Do I feel old? No, but I know a few people who do look old and that surprise me and shock me and I don't feel old, but those people kind of scare me, like and again, I look at Tom Green and I'm like, this is the guy who was with Drew Barrymore. Like he was living like a king at one time. He had his own movie out, had his own TV show, was going with Drew Barrymore. I believe he hosted a few shows. Other than that, I think it was like something on E. He was living the life, and then just like one day, And I think the thing with Tom Green and Drew Barrymore is the same thing with like Russell Brand and Katy Perry. Katy Perry and Russell Brand, it was like a match made in heaven. It's like superstar, a match with superstar. But I think, Tom Green and Russell Brand, they are funny guys. They're hilarious. They're awesome. But sometimes I think like you can only take so much hilarity in a day, because, like one person said about like Robin Williams, like, if you ever seen Robin Williams in concert, that's what he's like 24/7. Like, he does not shut off, And, like, it's cool to see that in a 2-hour block and be around that energy for, like, be around that, like, 500-watt amped up energy, like, for 2 hours. But they said to be around Robin Williams for, like, 24 hours was exhausting. And I think it was probably the same thing with Tom Green and probably the same thing with Russell Brand. Eventually you need to sometimes, and Fears even tells me this sometimes. He says, Randy, you need to be serious sometimes. And I'm like, I just try to be funny all the time, And Fears is like, just be serious for me with the 1 second. I'm like, okay. And I just, and me too. Sometimes I have trouble turning it off. It's like a tap. It flows like water. I just, and I think it's because Richard Bandler said the most serious disease that we have in America is a case of seriousness, and I always try to lighten the mood, try to, get them laughing and stuff. So, I wouldn't say Russell Brand is a superstar like Star, sure, but Katy Perry was on top of the world when they were married. Yeah. Yeah. But Russell Brand, he's pretty ubiquitous. You see him in a lot of places, and he's done a lot of stuff. And Katy Perry, oh man, she is like she's like the whole deal. She's beautiful, she's talented, she's rich, she's famous. Her music's actually good. I mean, like that's like that's not a double threat, triple threat, quadruple threat. That's like a quintuple threat. I mean, like Katy Perry is amazing in just about every way. I don't go on and on and on about Katy Perry, and that girl is stacked. Like she has. If you've seen that, Saturday Night Live where she's like in that Elmo t-shirt, like that t-shirt looks really happy, if you know what I mean, and I think you do. Katy Perry has got it going on, and she's quirky, she's funny. I saw her on the Ellen DeGeneres show where like Ellen was like quizzing her, like, would you take this guy or this guy? She's like, oh my God, I don't know. I can't do this. I can't decide. And, everybody said she was on coke. And I just think, she was just funny, she was just being quirky Katy Perry, but yeah, Katy Perry's quite something. She is quite something. And she's constantly reinventing herself, like every 3 or 4 years, it's almost like a completely different person. The same thing with Lady Gaga, She reinvents herself. She pulls a new stunt every now and then. Yeah. So now, second topic, I'm gonna have to get my notes here. So upcoming books. So I have 3 books coming out this year. I'm not gonna like promise these are the 3 books that are gonna make the final cut this year. I have several other book ideas in the ether. Sorry, I got the hiccups. Darn it, I ran out of drink. But yeah, I've got 3 books. The next book that is probably going to be hitting the printing press is going to be the Tiny Book of Awesome Magic. That is the first of the 3 books. The Tiny Book of Awesome Magic. I basically teach you how to do 14 tricks that are purely of my design. And it's not so much a book on how to do the tricks. The tricks are very... Lady Gaga is crazy like a modern day Bowie. Bowie's in space. Yeah, Lady Gaga is crazy. That's why I love her. So yeah, the next one's going to be called The Tiny Book of Awesome Magic. And here's the thing. The thing about magic is it's 80% presentation and 20% mechanics. Now, I've got this one book by Barb Whiter called 101 Magic Tricks for Kids. And here's the thing. You can spice these tricks up. You can make these tricks look like super mega hard tricks. But you got to do the presentation. Without the presentation, it's just a kid trick. It's dumb, But with the presentation, that is what I will be teaching in this book. I'll be teaching, little comedy techniques that you can use, how to use gags, how to use props, all that stuff. Carl's here. He says, "Sup, Randy? What's up?" So the second book that I will be releasing will probably be the 24-hour screenplay. I have written 2 screenplays within the span of 24 hours. And I'll give you like a little like synopsis of what's going to be in the book. So number 1, if you want to write a screenplay in 24 hours, it's really simple. You just got to schedule your schedule like this. All you got to do is write 15 pages, break for an hour, write another 15 pages, break for an hour, do that 2 more times, then break for 2 hours, and then write 15 pages, break for another hour, write for 15 pages. It'll take all day. Like, you've got to have a block of your day where there's no distractions, nobody tugging at you, nobody pulling at you, and you've got to block off an entire day. But it can be done. It can be done. I know because I've done it. So that's part of it. There's more to it than that. There's tons of like little tips and tricks that I can give. But yeah, that's my second book, the 24-hour screenplay. Randall, I need you to say, "May the bung be with you always." Merck mentioned you have a really serious script you're writing. You're writing under an NDA. That did an amazing, man. Congrats. Yeah, the only thing I can say I can only say 2 things about that script. Number 1, it's done, and number 2, I got a big chunk of change for it. I can't say how much. But yeah, so the third and final book that I will try to be releasing this year is Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom. Yes, thanks, buddy. You're welcome, Fears. So yeah, and also with that final little blurb, Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom. Gemini Jones is kind of like a Sherlock Holmes type character. And one of my friends, Jim, let me use his character, Frank Rizzo. And Gemini Jones and Frank Rizzo will be teaming up. And guess what? The third and final topic for tonight will be the Gemini Jones novel sneak peek. And Jerry Benson from my book Every Day is Magic will be making a quite big cameo in this book. So now I am going to ignore the chat for about 20 minutes, and I will read you the first chapter of the second book because everybody's asking me to read chapters. So now I'm going to say, yes, Fears, I own some cool props. That is cool. So now I am going to go into Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom, Chapter 1. So here we go. Will you silence that damn device? It's gone off like 5 times now. Sorry, Riz, I don't know who keeps calling, Gemini said, thumbing at his phone. Like I was saying, detective work is easy. Easy, Rizzo assured him. You only need to know 4 things in any crime. Who did it, what they did, why they did it, how they did it, and the rest is a piece of cake. Gemini and Rizzo sat at their favorite spot in McDonald's. Rizzo read his paper. Gemini shoved his chubby face full of bacon, egg, and cheese. Typically, Rizzo wouldn't be caught dead in a McDonald's, but this was a special occasion. Rizzo had caught a break in the smiley face killer case. Both Gemini Jones and Frank Rizzo know that most murders, if not solved after 48 hours, end up cold cases forever, or a really long time unless somebody straight up confesses. Rizzo motioned to Gemini's bright purple button-up shirt, jade necklace, and ripped jeans and asked, Tell me, Gemini, what's with this getup? What about your getup, man? Gemini said of Rizzo's signature trench coat and hat. The hat was on the table. You look like the shady guy on the sign that reads Neighborhood Watch. They're looking out for you, man. Touche, Rizzo chuckled. There's a method to my madness. Do tell. Do you know why we're sitting here? We're eating, Gemini said, downing the last bite of his biscuit. Ah, yes, Rizzo agreed, but do you know why we're sitting here? Enlighten me. Well, Rizzo began, I sit in the catbird seat, and you might be asking yourself, what exactly is the catbird seat? From this seat, my back is to the wall, so no one can surprise me from behind. And also from this vantage point, I can see everyone who comes in and out of the front door and anyone at the cash register. Did you notice your wife come in the other door? Rizzo looked for his beloved wife, Cora. Gotcha. That was a dirty move if I ever saw one, Rizzo huffed. Couldn't help it. I had to, Gemini said, pouring sugar in his coffee. Rizzo watched him pour 1, 2, 3, and 4 bags of sugar into his coffee. You're going to become a diabetic if you keep that up, mister, Rizzo said, waving a finger in Gemini's face. Gemini just smirked and sipped his coffee. Rizzo took out a small, worn notepad and a golfing pencil to take a note. What are you doing? Asked Gemini. I'm checking my notes on that car outside, Rizzo said. I think I remember a blue 1990 Honda Accord in front of us earlier. I just wanted to check and see if it's the same one. It's not. How do you know it's not? Because I remember all 6 license plates from the cars in front of us. While you were taking paper notes, I was taking mental notes. I don't believe you, Rizzo spouted. But I have all 6 plates here on my notepad, so let's test your luck, hotshot. All right. 56 NLEL HXPS 808 21 DHSS 16 9LS P 64 38 FNI and DN 71. Rizzo slammed his notepaper and pencil down on the table, startling the people at the adjacent tables. How? How did you do that? You don't want to know. Oh, I think I do. I'm pretty sure you don't. Oh, I think I do. Okay. Here goes, Gemini said. For the numbers 56, I think of a 56K modem. Then I turn the letters into memorable acronyms. In this case, Naked Ladies Eating Lunch. For the second, the acronym is Hot X-Rated Porn Stars, and 808 is the name of the drum used in techno music. For the next one, for the next one, 21 is the age you can drink at, and the Acronym is Dirty Hot Sexy Sluts, and 16 is the age where most people start driving. For LSP, I think lesbians serving pancakes. You are some kind of pervert. You know that? I'm having breakfast with a total and complete pervert. Rizzo half joked, half scolded. Was I wrong? Were those not the exact plates of all the cars in the exact order which we saw them? Gemini gloated. Rizzo got up. Where are you going? Gemini asked. I'm going to get some OJ, which is an acronym that stands for orange juice and nothing else. Gemini sipped his coffee and noticed an old lady staring at him, to which Gemini replied with, What? Rizzo returned with his OJ. It's not freshly squeezed, you know. Yeah, so, Rizzo said defensively. Just letting you know. Well, I know, Rizzo huffed, tearing off the top to the painfully small juice container. He took a sip. Now, I have news to tell. Be my guest. I solved the smiley face killer case. Did you now? Gemini was interested. Rizzo laid out the whole plan. The victims were all drowned in a river, in shallow water. The victims, all 12 of them, were college-age males, all white, all athletically inclined. All were reported to be intoxicated at the days of the disappearance. Now, near every death site is the rare and ominous symbol of the smiley face killer. Another detail of note is the smiley faces were all completely different. Different paint, different styles, different ink. Some were ink. Also, 4 New Jersey detectives have been tracking this case for years, and not one solid lead has appeared. They are 4 of New Jersey's top detectives, and they only had one phone call with a lead in 4 years. Many say that the victims were gone for some time before they were found dead. And that, to me, says it all. It's the psychic connection. I don't follow, Gemini retorted. Rizzo sipped his delicious OJ, which was an acronym for orange juice and nothing else. And he said, You used to pose as psychic for a while, Gemini. When a psychic reveals some information that leads the police to a lead, who do officers and detectives first suspect? The psychic himself. Gemini said, catch it on. So wait, you think the detectives did it? But why? Rizzo sat back. Why indeed? Why indeed? Why do any killers kill? They either enjoy the murder or they enjoy the spotlight. Well, they were on Dr. Phil, Gemini sounded unconvinced. But even then, why? Rizzo takes the newspaper and lays it flat, turning the headlines to face Gemini. Don't you read the paper? Rizzo asked. On the page in big bold print was this. Government issues $11 million reward for the smiley face killer. Gemini was thunderstruck. What? Exactly, Rizzo said. Now remember, statistics show serial killers tend to stay in their own ethnicity. Each officer has enough bulk and power to take down even someone as athletically inclined as the victims. The governor has them assessing and compiling all the leads. And each one could be covering the others behind, if you know what I mean. Then someone they know could call and lead, and then huzzah, and Bob's your uncle. The someone could cash in on all the money, and he or she split the money 5 ways with the 4 detectives. That's $2,020,000 split. That's a lot of money, Gemini said. With that much money, you could even hire a style consultant. Rizzo scoffed. You're missing one vital component, one missing piece, Gemini added. Yeah, Rizzo was all ears. Gemini leaned in. They would need a stooge, some kind of patsy to pin it on. Someone who could have been at all the crime scenes and done all the murders. Maybe that's what they're up to, Rizzo teased. Working on the case so some dumb buffoon can fall in the frame-up. Gemini phones vibrated again. He took it out and looked at it. It reads, scam likely. I thought I told you to silence that godforsaken thing, Rizzo shouted. I'm just going to answer it. If it's a crank call, I'll just mess with them. Gemini hits a button and puts his phone to the ear. Hello? Gemini's face goes ashen. Who is this? Gemini asks in a serious tone. Okay, he says. He hands the phone to Rizzo. It's for you. Hello? Rizzo asks, slightly confused. Frank, They've got a gun pointed at my head. They've killed Darren, and I think they're going to kill me too. Rizzo recognized the voice. Cora? An Austrian voice comes in on the line. Now listen to me very carefully. And that is the end of the chapter. So there you go. That is the sneak peek of chapter 1 for the new book. So there we go. Yep. So yeah, let's see. Let's catch up with the chat. It's cool props. Really dig the name Gemini Jones. Sounds like a main character of a black exploitation from the 80s. Yep. Going to sleep. Later, buddy. E says, "Hey Randy, hey Carl. All up, isn't that the technique from a memory book?" Yeah, a little bit. What up, Dank and Hilda? Hi Carl. All right. So I am all caught up on the chat. So, like I said, I'm working on it. I've got 3 chapters. I might do chapter 2 tomorrow sometime. Not tomorrow. I might do it. I got a lot of stuff to do tomorrow. I got to write the script with fears, and I've got church to attend to, so it won't be tomorrow. So if y'all are lucky, maybe Saturday or Sunday, I'll read chapter 2. Put a 1 in the chat if you want me to read chapter 2. Just type a 1 and hit enter, and let me know if that's something you want to see. And so yeah, that basically is my my 3 topics for the night. So Dank gives a 1. All right. So that's a 1 right there. So and let me know if you all liked the first chapter. If you liked the first chapter, if you thought it was okay. But yeah, so again, Everything is Magic is now available on paperback. You can get it on Amazon.com. And I put a lot of hard work into it. Jerry Benson, the lead character from Everyday's Magic, is going to show up in the 3rd chapter of Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom. I really had like an Indiana Jones type feeling to this. So I kind of like wanted to insert that in there, and I thought, Temple of Doom, what could I? And like, is this like I told it's just like I told Fears, sometimes you got to Frankenstein things, and you can Frankenstein titles too. You can take it apart and rework it, and instead of Indiana Jones, you got Gemini Jones, and very nice. It flowed really well. Thank you, Visions. I appreciate it. Worked hard on it, and so yeah, Gemini Jones and Frank Rizzo is my friend Jim's character, and Jim said, and Jim is from my writers group, and Jim told me very explicitly, he said, Randy, like, I don't really, he's written like maybe like 19 chapters of this book, and I'm like, dude, you got to finish that book. And I was like, nah, Randy, I'm an old guy. I don't think this book is going to go anywhere. I'm going to, put the character away in my file cabinet, and Rizzo's probably going to die in the file cabinet. And I'm like, Rizzo is an amazing character. You need to do something with that character. And I was like, do you mind if I do something with that character? And he's like, you know what, Randy? Yeah, go ahead, have fun, and do whatever you want with the character. I'm like, I'm using this damn character as a good character, and Jim's a cool guy. And actually, there's 2 Jims, and one's Jim D and one's Jim M, but we all call Jim D Leland, because the main character in Jim D's book is a character named Leland, and everybody basically knows like Leland is basically Jim, so we just call Jim D Leland, and we call Jim M just Jim, because so yeah. And Jim M's book is amazing. And I'm like, dude, you can't just, don't shelve this book. I mean, like, leave that book to me in your will, and I will finish the rest of the book, and I will try to stay as true to your character as possible. And, the name Frank Rizzo, I think there was actually a gangster or a hitman named Frank Rizzo, which, but like Frank Rizzo is, I mean, like, it's kind of like a vanilla kind of name in like New Jersey or Boston, and it's like it's like a name a lot of guys would have back then or in that area, and I'm like, I'm, if you don't use them, I will. So I just got that resolved in my mind. So, and yes, that was some memory tricks from my old book, the little memory book, 7 little tricks that make a big difference. So, Solstice says, "What up, YouTube?" Yeah. What is up, YouTube? What is up with that? Yeah. And Solstice says hello to Randy. Hello, Solstice. Yeah. So I'll just put this. You know what? I'll give you a 2-for-1 deal tonight. If I get 4 number 2s, if I get 4 separate number 2s, I'll read chapter 2. I'm going to go for an hour. All right. So it's 30. We're at 36 minutes right now. If I get 4 number 2s, I'll read chapter 2 from the book. I'll give you a sneak peek of chapter 2. But I want 4 2s, and it can't just be like Solstice 2222 or Exhumed Visions 2222. If y'all want to see, if you want to, you want me to read chapter 2 right now, put a 2 in the chat. And when we get to 4 2s, all right, we got Solstice. We got a 2. Exhumed Visions, we got a 2. Dang Man Time Machine, Exhumed Visions, Carl the Fanny. We got a 2 here, 2 here, 2 here. Here's a number 2 on your chest. Oh, shit. Exhumed Visions getting dirty, So, yeah. All right, we're halfway there. If y'all want me to read the second chapter, the Real Robbie Part 2 says 2. One more chapter 2, and y'all got it. All right, Outlaws Generation Archives sold. All right. Let me bring up chapter 2. Switch to Office, not now. Office pisses me off. All right. So all right. Let me find it. Got chapter 2. All right. Now, bear in mind, this chapter 2 is it's version 1. It's probably not going to be the final version, so sit back, relax, and here's chapter 2 of Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom. "It's not the God key," Milton shouted in reply. Derek was interested now. He opened his bag of flaming hot Cheetos and popped one in his mouth. Then he sat down at the trailer's Formica green spackled table. Milton leaned his chubby ass against the sink like a cornered rat. "How do you know it's not the God key?" Derek wondered. "Can you just cut the crap?" Milton asked. His yellow Charlie Brown t-shirt was stained with sweat. It also looked like he was stretching his khakis a little bit too much. Milton never wore the right size pants. The middle-aged hacker was ripe with perspiration. Derek ran his hand through his own blonde hair. He was dressed in a white Don't Do It t-shirt and Lee 501 jeans. Wiping his hands on his shirt, he closed the bag. Just then, there was a rap, rap, rap on the trailer door. "Come on in, home skillet," Milton yelled. The door opened up, and a man in a dark green suit with a silky terrier in his arms entered the trailer. The bald-headed man closed the door behind him. "So, Paul, how does it feel to be 42? Derek asked. "The question is not how old I am. The question is, am I succeeding?" And the answer is, yes, I am. And how much money have you been making? Paul retorted. I thought I told you not to bring that fucking dog in here, Milton spat. I'm allergic. Last time you brought a pet, I ended up in hives, remember? Or are you trying to antagonize me? You're not, are you? Paul set the dog down on a pink leash. The issue isn't your allergies. The issue is, how fast can you get me out of here so you can get back to your normal life and stop worrying about the damn dog? Now, what did you need to see me about? He thinks he found the God key, Derek commented. Any other stupid questions? Paul shot Derek a raised eyebrow. What, might I ask, is the God key? Is it another dumb Magic the Gathering card game or something like that? Derek explained. No, doofus. The God key is an app that allows you access to any computer system or program. You just type in the special code and you can access anything. You don't need a password or nothing. It's like the clean slate from The Dark Knight Rises. I don't know if you've seen it. Who do you think has it? Paul queried. My company. I think my jerk-ass boss has it. He's been acting real fishy lately, Milton said, filling up a glass of water. Paul asked, why would you say that? Milton said, because he's been tossing around a lot of money and such, hanging out with beautiful women. You think that's odd? Odd. Have you seen this guy? Comb over, Coke bottle glasses, shorter than a midget with stunted growth? Yeah, it's odd. The dog barked twice. Milton shouted, shut up, you little twerp. So, why did you call me here? Paul wondered aloud. My time is precious, you guys. We want you to hypnotize somebody over the phone. We were wondering if you could do your conversational hypnosis mumbo jumbo. I could, Paul said. But what's my motivation? I don't work for free, neither do I work for peanuts, if you catch my drift. We'll cut you in for $3 million, and these bastards deserve it, to get their money stolen, that is. Wait, Paul paused. If you get this God key, whatchamacallit, you could put any amount of money in there, couldn't you? Correct, Milton said. And we could book us a ticket out of the U.S. and make a clean getaway after we erase all the evidence. You don't seem to understand. With this code, we could do anything. We could delete all criminal records, put infinite amounts of money in our pockets, and book ourselves into the swankiest hotels anywhere in the world. We could get into any party and rig any election. I could be the president of the U.S. of A if I wanted to. Then why not $1 billion? Paul exclaimed. Too much money? Too much ballin', Derek said, and people will start to get real suspicious. In essence, keep a low profile. We don't want to attract attention. Milton, you're the hacker, Paul exclaimed. What part does good old Derek-y do play in all this? You're not the trusting type after all. Derek is the one who's going to break into the office and get the USB drive. Why don't I just hypnotize your boss to bring it to you? The boss is being watched like a hawk, Derek said. If he leaves his office, he'd be under surveillance, but protocol forbids taping on the top floor. Too much top secret stuff goes on. But isn't CDO a video game company? Paul asked skeptically. I would have never suspected something so monumental would ever be going on at such a company. Video games a big business, Derek snapped. It's a moneymaker's dream. Have you been living under a bridge or something? No, Paul sneered, and I don't live with my mom either. The recrimination seemed to hurt Derek. He tried to hide it, but it was of no use. There it was. Paul let the air defrost a little. If these people were going to get the God key, Paul thought it was best not to piss them off. He had no idea what they were capable of. He barely knew these guys. And they're asking me to do something illegal. That's a big red flag. Right off the bat, it was obvious they couldn't be trusted. Are you in or are you out? Derek asked him. Paul scratched his square jaw. The idea was interesting. It could make a lot of opportunities appear quite instantly. But the stench of crime and the long arm of the law wafted by Paul's olfactory nerves. Derek holds out the bag. Do you need a cheese puff to make up your mind? Never have, never will, Paul said to the detestable snack. His phone vibrated. Paul answered. A voice came on the line. Hello? What is it, Missy? Paul, the office is flooded. All the computer hardware is soaking wet. This is going to set us back years, and we need to replace $10,000 worth of equipment. What are we ever going to do? I'm on it, Missy. Just go home and I'll take care of it. This is the worst day of my life. Missy, unless it's your fault, you have nothing to worry about. Was it your fault? No, it was a system malfunction. Hold on a second. No, it was a system malfunction from a fire drill in the building. Then just go home and don't worry about it. I'll handle it. But why'd it click? Paul put the phone back in his jacket pocket. Well, gentlemen, in lieu of certain events, I have to say it is a deal. Just like that? Milton asked. Yepper, Paul responded, and then he left with his little dog, too. Paul drove down the street in his fire engine red BMW with his silky terrier's head outside the passenger side window and mulled over the implications of what could go wrong. If this thing got into the wrong hands, someone could send a hypersonic newt right to my front doorstep and all my relatives' doorsteps in the blink of an eye. Paul stopped at the intersection. A bus passed by him with the picture of Frito-Lay chip ad with the tagline, "Do not do it." This didn't persuade Paul's thick skull, though. He was, what they call in the NLP business, a polarity responder. Whatever people wanted him to do, he did the exact opposite. He'd been that way through childhood. Now is the time for a backup plan. He went to a female friend's house and dropped off a letter with very specific instructions. If anything happened to Paul, she were to send it off to Fox News. I'd create a real big splash. Since Paul was computer savvy, his second backup would be uploaded to YouTube. It would be his 1-2 punch. CYA move, if you ever did see one. And CYA is cover your ass. After seeing his friend in Norman, he headed back to his place. Coming home, he let his dog Mitzi, with 2 pink ribbons in her hair, retreat to her little wicker basket with wool liner. Flipping on the computer's webcam, he made a new YouTube burner account with a bogus ID. Then he made a scheduled message to go out exactly a year from now. Whenever you do a mission, you always plan 2 contingencies, a plan A and a plan C. At least that's what he read in a military strategy manual. So there were 2, one with his friend and one on YouTube. His ass was covered, and it was covered good. Unless they used the nukes, in which case he was screwed. Now it was night, and Paul was tucked into bed under a nice blue blanket with the lights turned off. Mitzi was barking, and he heard someone downstairs. Paul was mentally prepared for intruders. He decided to do a bold move and confront whoever it was. Paul grabbed his metal baseball bat from his closet and inched down the stairs in the dark. He flipped on the lights, and there he was, a man in a yellow button-up shirt and blue pastel shorts and sandals. Who the hell are you? Paul asked commandingly. I'm a detective, he said. Where the hell did you put the Pinot? How do you know I have Pinot? I just told you I'm a detective. Pay attention, fella, he said, clapping his hands in an obstinate grab at theatrics. What do you want? Paul asked, still highly cautious. My wife has turned up missing. Someone has kidnapped her and threatened to kill her. And the breadcrumb trail has led me here. Pretty funny, huh? Hilarious. How did you wind up at my place? I have a few friends in the phone company, old Millie, and she said the call came from your phone. Care to explain? Paul tossed him the bat. I'm a trained lie detector, and I can tell you're on the level. I don't know why anyone would use my number, but it doesn't surprise me. I'm afraid I'll have to inform you myself. I can tell you I believe the crap you're shoveling. I sense a bit of trustworthiness in you. Sincerity is hard to fake. So, what's your name, sir? The name's Frank Rizzo, and I'm on your case. I'm the best detective in town and humble, too. Don't think just because I'm old, I'm feeble. I got a keen eye and a memory sharper than a double-edged sword. Did I mention I'm humble? Frank Rizzo. Right. I'll take a moment to digest that one. Is that your real name? What do you think? I think it's going to be a long night, Paul said. I love the night, Rizzo assured him. Let's get to it, okay? I don't have all night. Some shenanigans are going down, and I'm determined to get the bottom of it. You game? I am, Paul said, motioning to the couch. Have a seat, Frank. We have a lot to talk about. The detective was about to get an education on something that would change his life forever. Something he would use to beat the grass and startle the snakes. And what happened next would shake Rizzo to the core. It had been such a peaceful night until it wasn't. And that, my friends, is the end of the chapter. So there we go. Yeehaw, y'all. Yep. There we go. Sorry, I need to see if I need to do any more pruning. Yep. I don't even really care if trolls troll me. I just don't want those frickin' internet sites up. Although now that I probably said that, there's going to be 500 million more of them. Very nice, Randall. The casual but descriptive tone is comforting for a reader. Me gusta, Mr. Randy. Oh, thank you, Exum Visions. I appreciate that. So I'm going to save the third chapter for Saturday or Sunday. So I do I watched a little bit. I am a really big fan of Dan Brown, and not just because his last name is Brown. I read a lot of Dan Brown novels. I read The Da Vinci Code. I read Angels and Demons, Deception Point, Digital Fortress, and The Solomon Key. And I loved all those books, and I saw all the movies of those books. And Dan Brown is a great writer, and he's very formulaic, and he's got a formula that works. And I'm not going to go into it, but in the masterclass video that he did, the sample, he says that one of the tricks that he uses is to have a character with a hidden identity. Like in the Da Vinci Code, the character is the teacher, and then in Inferno, it's the provost. So in my book, the character that is hidden is going to be called the Austrian. And it's going to be, I'm going to save the identity of the Austrian to very, 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 very late in the book. I'm planning on about 30 to 40 chapters, and you're not going to find out who the Austrian is until about, probably chapter 28, 29, 30, maybe sometime around there, So you're going to have to go through a third of the book before you find out who the Austrian is. And it's and basically the kind of theme for this book is, the old ways versus the new ways. Like Gemini Jones is like the youthful, like young detective, and he becomes like a private eye, and he uses all the new stuff. He uses all the digital stuff, and he's on his phone all the time, and he uses all these high-tech devices. Where you've got Rizzo, and Rizzo is like in his 60s and 70s, and Rizzo uses all the old world stuff. He uses like that's why I said, he uses a notepad and a golfing pencil, like really low tech, like caveman age stuff. And, it's like they kind of like shoot back and forth at each other. And, Rizzo learns to update himself for this, decade. And then Gemini Jones kind of learns some old tricks that helps him solve. And, they're kind of like the yin to each other's yang, and they team up, and together they are an unstoppable force. And they're kind of like a Sherlock Holmes and Watson together, except Gemini Jones is the younger one, and he's the smarter one. But but that's not to say that Frank Rizzo isn't without his moments. So there you go. I'm gonna get I am looking at my hair in the screen right now. I am very unhappy with this haircut. I am not going to where I usually go ever again. I'm gonna go to Walmart and get my hair done there. I have like little, I don't know why, but it usually comes up to a little point, and I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So yeah, I'm gonna switch my barber, someone who knows what they're doing, because this is not good at all. This is not what it should look like. But anyways, that's neither here nor there. But yeah, um, I'm just glad I haven't gone gray yet. I think I could be a fleck of gray right there. But you know what they say? Gray hair is the price we pay for not dying young. So there you go. So yeah, I will do a reading of chapter 3 probably on Saturday or Sunday. And y'all keep me in line, drop a few comments if I falter, leave a message, be like, "Hey Randy, it's time to do what's and what." When is the release window? Quattro says I would say let's see, January, February, March, April. I would expect the first book by the end of April. I would expect the second book sometime in September, and then I would expect the last book sometime in December. So yeah, that is what I have planned. But you know what? There's a very famous saying, and the saying is, if you want to make God laugh, tell him your plans, because who the hell knows what is going to happen this year? I always like to stay positive, and I hope for the best. I mean, one thing that keeps me going is the perspective that your luck can turn radically for the better at any minute. Like I could walk into Walmart tomorrow and be the billionth customer and win $1 million and whatever, and of course it could go the other way. I could be driving and lose both legs in a horrible accident, but you know but I like to stay positive, and I think I hope for the $1 million. But again, we got Omicron now, and we got Omicron. I love these names. Beatrice Faustina. That's an interesting name. But yeah, we've got all these new diseases and wars breaking out and terrorist attacks, and it seems like every day something happens to change the face of the world. So I'm just going to do my best to roll with the punches, and do what I can. Yeah. So there you go. So it is 58:26 right now. Has Fears gotten Omicron? No, I don't think so. He's perfectly fine. Solstice, he's fine. But yeah, I said I was going to go for an hour. I usually like to keep it in an hour, unless somebody has some really good questions. Then I go for another 15. But you got one more minute to ask a really super good question, and I would prefer it if it was a non-trolley question. And even if, and like I said, I always make this promise when I do my streams. I go, I got my COVID, but my manager told me I had to come, just not tell anyone. Oh wow, that's crazy. And I was just at a Burger King in the ghetto, and you know, I'm really nice to everyone in the Burger Kings and the 7-Elevens, and the lady seemed so surprised at how nice I was, and I was like, could I get some chicken McNuggets, please? And she's like, how much you want, sweetie? I was like, how much can I get? And she said, you can get whatever you want. I was like, "Oh, that's fantastic." And she's like, "Yeah, show is." I was like, "Could I get 12, please?" And she's like, "Yeah, you don't even have to say please. I'm here to take your order." I was like, "Cool, cool." And I started chatting up the staff, and they were all really nice and really cool. And I went to my writers group a month ago, and I went to the 7-Eleven in the ghetto, and the 3 people in front of me were a nightmare. They were giving the cashier so much grief. Like this one woman was like, "I've been here 100 times and they took food stamps every time." And the cashier was like, "Well, look, like I wasn't here those 100 times. That's not going to work for me. Uh, you know, it's not going to work." And she's like, "This is outrageous. I'm going to speak to your manager." And he goes, "I am the manager." "Well, I don't care. And I think this is horrible. And I think this is messed up." And that woman was just giving the cashier like 500 pounds of grief. So, I thought I would be not, I am not going to comment on that because I don't think it's relevant. But yeah, they were just giving this cashier 500 pounds of grief. So, when I got, I was like, okay, so, yeah, this is what I want. And, fill her up on 5. And they were like, okay. And I was like, fill her up on 5, please. And how are you today? And they're like, I'm good. And I'm like, oh, I hope you have a good day. Yeah, it's really nice to be here, and I appreciate everything you're done. And then as I was walking away, I saw this girl looking at me with the biggest smile on her face, and I could just see in her eyes. She was like, "Wow, that was so nice of that guy, being nice to that lady." And like again, they were giving them just like 500 tons of grief, and I was like, you know, these people probably deal with 500 people a day. You can't be can't be harassing these people. And I do know what it's like to have that kind of grief at work because one of my only jobs, one of them, uh, you could be a king there, Randy. Yeah, yeah. And the food was good too. The chicken McNuggets were really tasty. And yeah, I one of my first and ever only jobs was working as a gatekeeper at Las Vegas International Speedway. I'm not saying anything either, but we all know who the loudest people in the Burger King are. Am I right, Randall? I'm not touching that one with a 10-foot pole, Quattro. I'm sorry, but uh, yeah. Um, but yeah, I worked at the racetrack in Las Vegas, and see, there were Formula One cars out on the track, and I don't know if y'all know what Formula One cars, but those are the fastest cars on the planet. They go around that road course and do turns at 200 miles per hour. Okay. And I was working the gate, and this one guy comes up to me and he goes, "Yeah, I need to let me through the gate. I need to get through and get into the infield." And I'm like, "I'm sorry, sir. The cars are out on the track right now. I can't let you through." And he's like, "Do you know who I am?" And I'm like, I don't know who you are, sir, but no matter who you are, the cars are out on the track. You can't go through. It's impossible." I was like, "Do you know who I am? I am a major big deal in NASCAR, and if you don't let me through." So I rang up the guy on the radio. I was like, "Hey, there's this guy. He says he needs to get through," and the manager's like yelling at me, "No, there are cars on the track. He cannot go through. Deny him." I was like, "Okay." And I was like, "I'm sorry, sir. I can't let you go through." And he's like, "I'm a big deal. And if you don't get this done right now, I'm going to cause big hell with the manager." And I'm like, "Dude, even if I wanted to, I couldn't. There are cars doing 200 miles an hour on the lap. If you go through, they will not only kill you, but they will kill themselves crashing into you. I don't care who you are. I'm sure you're a great person. I'm sure you're a really famous person, but the Formula One cars are out on the road course right now. I cannot let you through." And it just, oh man, that put me off work for a long time. I was like, those guys were, oh my God, it was hell. Did you ever take one of those cars for a spin? No, I didn't. Solstice. I didn't get my driver's license until really late in the game. I got it in 2019, so about 4 years ago. Now this sounds like a white guy because we all know who would jump the fence. Yeah, maybe you wanted to go out in style. Could have been. Yeah. Am I right, Randall? Quattro. Oh man, you're gonna get me in trouble, man. Yeah, you're gonna get me in trouble, Quattro. But I do know what you mean. I do know what you mean. So yeah, but that was such a bad experience for me. I did get paid. I worked there for about 3 weeks, but I was like, you know what? I really don't think this is for me. I don't think gatekeeper is what Randy Brown is meant to be doing. I do not. And this was a long time ago. This was a long ass time ago. This was like in 1995, 96. So I was about 15, 16 years old at the time. And I'll tell you that scarred me. That was a scarring experience. That guy was so belligerent. And I know when you work and I got to applaud even the people who work at jobs like Burger King and McDonald's, got to put up with people like that. I mean, and also I think we're 75% responsible of the way we communicate with people. So, like maybe I could have been better. I could have used some sort of technique but that back then I was, an idiot. I had no idea of like communication techniques and conflict resolution techniques. I tried to be as nice as possible, but this guy was just like, you know, yeah, he was being pretty belligerent. So yeah, I think I'm gonna wrap up there. Yeah. So do I feel old? No, I don't feel old, but some of the people I think used to be like young like me were old now. The book's coming out. The first book I have planned is the Tiny Book of Awesome Magic. Look for that sometime near April. You should have told him you are the famous Randy Brown. Well, I wasn't famous back then. I was just some kid, like I didn't get famous until later. So first book, Tiny Book of Awesome Magic. Second book, 24-hour screenplay, where I teach people how to write a screenplay in 24 hours. Third book, Gemini Jones and the Prophet of Doom. And then finally, our third topic, it was not only did you get a preview of chapter 1, you got a preview of chapter 2. Quattro says, how did you become famous? Well, I'm not so much famous in Florida, but I am pretty famous in Phoenix, Arizona. Hold on a second. Yeah. All right, I'm streaming and it's not in here. Okay. So anyways, I let me see, what was I saying? In Phoenix, I ran a cable access show on channel 98. If y'all have seen where is that a burglar? Yeah, she's come to steal the remote out of my room. But yeah, from 2002 to 2009, when I lived in Phoenix, I had my own cable access show. And the thing about that is in cable access in Phoenix, please tell me, do you have some old tapes? I did have some old tapes, but unfortunately they were all VHS tapes. And it was the dude called the cops. Yeah. The VHS tapes, I had to get rid of them because there were like 500 of them. They were bulky VHS tapes. I could not take them when I moved to Florida. That would have been impossible to have them all in a box. How many prank calls did you get? Not a lot. I did not run a live show. I ran a tape show. And basically what I would do in Phoenix is I would just set a video camera over my shoulder and I would just draw and I would just talk about life for a few days. And I would just draw and that would be it. But yeah, my mom is looking for the remote. I know for sure it's not in here because I don't. Her remote is not compatible with my TV. But yeah, we didn't get any prank calls, but I did post my real phone number uh on the end of the show. And people did call my house, and there were a lot of people tell her to find it herself. Yeah. No, I'm a nice guy. I want to be nice to mom. I want her last years on this planet to be the best years of the life if at all possible. Stop stop trying to bother you. You're hosting a show. Yeah, no. I'm gonna go help her out. But anyways, so yeah, I had my own show from 2002 to 2009 on a statewide cable access show. And it wasn't just like this on YouTube. It was like a literal like turn on your cable box and you will see me on there, you know. So some Goodwill Phoenix got 500 to life with Randy tapes. Yep. So yeah, I'm gonna go, and I thank you for everyone who tuned in. Thank you all. My name's Randy Brown for Cameo Man and Cameo Man 2021 and the Mirror Magic, and I will see you later, alligator. And don't forget to subscribe to my friend Fierce Man 26, Fierce Vlogs, Exhumed Visions, and all you other great people. And I will see you later, alligator. All right, bye.